Good morning, everyone. Chris Profi, musically obsessed. Well, it's a beautiful Saturday. I love how I look that way to figure out what day it is. It's a beautiful Saturday in Poughkeepsie, New York. That's where I'm coming at you from. And what I want to do today is another short video. This is going to be part 2 of celebrating hard rock and heavy metal albums that came out in 1980, which would make them 40 years old in 2020. Yes, folks, that's a lot of numbers for early in the morning, but I'm doing it anyways. So, as I said in the last video, I've got a bunch of my CDs in storage, and I went over yesterday to try to dig some out, and it was actually harder to find certain titles than I thought it was going to be. I guess when you've got 3,000 CDs and 14 bins of CDs, even though they are in somewhat alphabetical order, it's still hard to find certain titles, especially when you're looking for like one of a particular band. So I was able to find 4 more, so I want to talk through them today. The first band I want to talk about, and the first album I want to talk about, is actually playing in the background. Def Leppard, On Through the Night. And of course, these albums that I'm going to show you today all came out in 1980. This was Def Leppard's first album, and as I've said in other videos, I really love this era of Deep Purple, Def Leppard. After On Through the Night was High and Dry, which is another great album, and then you had Pyromania, and then of course Hysteria. But this is where it all started. This album hits you over the head from beginning to end. You've got Rock Brigade, Hello America, Sorrow is a Woman, It Could Be You, Satellite, which I really like. When the Walls Came Tumbling Down, Wasted starts off with a really heavy guitar riff. Rocks Off, It Don't Matter, Answer to the Master, and then this gem, Overture, which sort of starts off kind of proggy in the beginning, and then it breaks into this. Love this album. Just gonna turn this down a little bit. All right. Next album I want to talk about is an album that I'm sure you guys have never heard of before. ACDC's Back in Black. 1980 release. We know the history of this album. What an amazing comeback to lose your lead singer and then come back with a new lead singer and make just an album that totally not only rocks, but just takes the world by storm. Brian Johnson came in, and it was almost like he had always been a member of ACDC. This album has been talked about. This album has been in everybody's top lists of hard rock albums. Produced by Mutt Lange, who went on to produce Shania Twain and a bunch of other artists. I mean, this is just the greatest hits of AC/DC. Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, What Do You Do for Money, Honey, Give the Dog a Bone, Let Me Put My Love Into You, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg, and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Just classic 1980 hard rock. Next, Scorpions, Animal Magnetism. I was just listening to this morning. Great album. I love early Scorpions. I think I've mentioned their first album, Lonesome Crow, which I really like because it reminds me of Judas Priest Rockarola. It's sort of that bluesy, proggy, pre-metal sound. But by 1980, Scorpions were firing on all cylinders. And this album, again, from top to bottom, classic. Make It Real, Don't Make No Promises, Hold Me Tight, 20th Century Man, Lady Starlight, which I really like, Falling in Love, awesome song, Only a Man, The Zoo, and Animal Magnetism. Great cover art too. And the last album I want to show you. This is another one you probably never heard of before. Haha. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. And talk about changing of the guard and changing a member like Ozzy Osbourne. You would think, hey, Sabbath is done, Ozzy's out. But, you know, let's just bring in this other guy, Ronnie James Dio, from, of course, Elf and Rainbow. Let's see what he can do. Well, you know what, folks? This is what he can do. So you pair Tony Iommi's guitar riffs with Dio's voice, and you just get a classic album. I know a lot of people were turned on to Black Sabbath with this album who had never heard the Ozzy years. This was the album that turned them on to them. And then, of course, after this was Mob Rules, which is another great album. But on this album, I mean, Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, Heaven and Hell, Wishing Well, Die Young, Walk Away, and Lonely is the Word. And folks, all you need to do, too, is see produced and engineered by Martin Birch, who produced a whole bunch of hard rock heavy metal acts, including Iron Maiden. So, you know, you put Martin Birch, Tony Iommi, Ronnie James Dio in the same room, you get this album. So, there's 4 more albums that turn 40 this year. And there are many more that I want to talk about. Again, I want to dig them out of the bins and show them to you guys. So, enjoy the rest of your Saturday and listen to music.